Welcome back for what is most likely going to prove to be the final video in this series, as not only is it the longest I've done, but going around afterwards and checking, no more flashpoints that I want to do are popping up, so this is probably going to be it. Uh, in this final one that I have saved because I hate it, even though it's relatively interesting, we take on a contract for the Free Worlds League. Uh, in case you're not following along, reading here, a Free Worlds League company stole a prototype from the Capellan Confederation, prototype battle mech that is, and has been testing it and reverse engineering the advanced technology on it, trying to figure out how it works. And the Free Worlds League military has finally found out because a Capellan force has landed on planet and basically laid siege to the planet trying to get their prototype back. So we have been contracted to go in and try to do something about it, recover it, bring it back to the actual Free Worlds League military rather than a private company, and gets into all kinds of stupid mess with free world politics and family members and shit. So I'll let that go as it goes. This is a four-part mission from what I recall. The first three, or two of three, I can't remember exactly how many there are, but all but the last one are not that bad. The final one, where you finally get your hands on this advanced game changing prototype, is absolutely moronic. It's I'm gonna have so much complaining to do when we get to that. HBS, I'm sorry. You seriously fucked up the Raven. And the Raven is far from my favorite mech, but for the 3025 time period, it is supposed to be, as they say, this game changing advanced design with all kinds of advanced capabilities. And the one in this is an absolutely worthless piece of shit. Anytime I've ever played this campaign and done it earlier, which unlocks it and a cataphract that also has its advanced technology, which I won't get into yet. I'll let it get into that when it gets to it. But I've never actually used any of them, and anytime I run into them as the opposition in a mission, they're so absolutely useless they might as well not be there. Like, why did HBS even bother? Why did they make this massive, long, difficult campaign to unlock something that you have absolutely no reason to ever use? It's just very, very dumb. And as you saw with the Hunchback, once I ran that mission, it unlocks it in the market. Same with the Raven and the new Cataphract. Part of the reason I didn't run it until the end or near the end, because I didn't realize I wouldn't have any more I wanted to do after this, was so that I wasn't constantly running into it in missions, because it's just so stupid and annoying. But anyway, here we go. Are dropping into an urban environment, and we're going to have a lance in support of us, and several battles here with alongside this same lance from the defenders of Andurian, and then into the end game thing. So I'll just kind of talk about stuff as it comes up here. It's the end of this when I'm really going to have a lot to say. And barring a major glitch I might run into going forward in the game, I have gotten running and gotten to where I can actually record, because I was having real hard time getting it to record properly. But I seem to have finally gotten to where the next game I want to do after this, I can run and record and do properly. And both the base game and both of the expansion packs for it seem to be working just fine. So, depending on how I want to do them and structure them, that might give me a lot of content to run. It's basically three separate games running off the same engine, so that could be interesting. And as I said in the last one, if you know the franchise and the series, you can probably guess what game I'm talking about. But I'm going to wait until I actually release the first one to, make an announcement as to what it is, because I kind of want to play it close to the vest just in case something doesn't work out. That I don't tell everybody that yes, I'm going to be doing this game, and you're going to be able to watch me play it, and I'm going to go through it in detail and da 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 da, and then uh, you know, do the first mission and get halfway through and the game crashes on me and won't restart again. So we'll see what happens. Suffice it to say, it is another game in the BattleTech franchise. However, it's much older than this one. In fact, as I'm going through and checking it out, I'm seeing how much I had completely forgotten about the game, even just the setup and the mech lab and everything else, and getting the controls working. And then it dawned on me last night. I actually thought about it for a second. I had not played that game in probably 20 years. So, other than I'm sure a lot of it will jog my memory, but for the most part, it's going to be probably a new experience all over again, which means I will most likely suck, but we'll see. And I will say the glitch with my backup lance being not loaded properly and being the glowing pink frame there. Every time I run this campaign, I think it's because of all the buildings it has to render and all of the battle mechs with like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 lances all together being in this battle. I think it just overloads the computer because inevitably something will have that glitch with it. I think there's just so much between all the environments and combatants and everything in this one that the computer just can't really handle it. As I've said, I'm running a very old laptop here. But now that I've gotten it running, it seems to run nice and fast, the old game. So hopefully that won't be a problem. The only issue is, I don't know if it's my computer or my memory, but I remember the graphics in that game being a lot better than what I'm seeing playing it. Maybe it's just, it seemed so much better 20 years ago, and now that I have better games to compare it to, it doesn't seem as much. But I don't remember it looking like it looks. We'll see, though. And as I say, with having the 2 expansion packs and one of the expansion packs having a lot of content to go through, I'm hoping the basically 3 games in one together there will give me quite a bit of stuff to do and a lot to talk about. Because it is in this universe. It is, however, in a very different time period of this universe. A lot different things going on, so I'll have a lot more to talk about lore and background wise. There's another lance coming in. Oh, look, it's the Steiners. Everybody wants this prototype. So now it's us, the Free Worlds League, the Capellan Confederation, and the Lyran Commonwealth in this op, and it just gets worse from there. thing that's annoying me with that other game going through and getting it set up and everything is how few mechs are actually available in that. I'd forgotten how small the selection was. None of my favorite mechs, with maybe one exception, are in that game, so I won't have the fun of piloting what I want to pilot, but it's still got a good storyline and lots of good fights in it, so. You can see part of why this video is so long. With all this stuff on the field and everything, the computer is working very slow in these battles. And as I said, I believe there's 4 of them if I remember correctly. And full disclosure, the final uh, battle of this campaign, the one that is in this film, is the 4th attempt to get through it. I got annihilated the previous 3 times. And every time I did it, I did a completely different tactic and strategy going into it. The one you'll see in the final battle is just the one that happened to get me through that battle. I do not think it's the smartest or the most likely to succeed way to run it, but that's the way I happened to make it through, so that's the way it's going to be on the film. One of the ways that I ran it is, by my estimation and my experience in this game, the most likely and sensible way to actually beat that match. And I think I got annihilated in like 5 turns. It's awful. It's absolutely awful, that mission. The entire setup and premise of that mission is almost as bad as that stupid one during the main campaign where you have to go in and rescue Wine Bottle Boy, whatever the fuck his name is. Lord Champagne, or whatever the fuck it was. It makes absolutely no fucking sense with the rest of the game, and I'll explain why when it gets to it. Like, if I was running this on tabletop, the way that mission is set up, nobody would play it. Like, if it was a tabletop scenario type thing, and it was set up the way they have it set up, you look at it in a book and go, that's idiotic, why the fuck would you do that? And you wouldn't play it. So, why does it make any sense in the computer game, which is based on the mechanics and setup of the tabletop game? It's just dumb. At least it makes it easy to keep track of who my lance mates are. They're or my allies, I should say, are. They're the glowing pink ones. Easy to find on the map. I will say too, I was happy with in the expansions here when they added the 3 add-on packs that had more mechs and more scenarios and the flashpoints and everything else. I really like that they added these urban ones. The downside being, at least on either this or my old computer, either one that I ran it on when I used to have an actual gaming computer, all of the stuff that there is to render, because all these buildings are destructible and everything. Everything that there is to render in these maps slows the game down so much that when I'm doing the regular game, if it's not something that is necessary for a flashpoint, I don't even take the urban contracts because I know how badly it's going to slow everything down and how tedious it's going to be to play it. Not that they're not fun, but the turns and the rendering and everything take so damn long. I was also disappointed to find out because I wasn't sure. I asked on one of the community pages to confirm. Apparently, HBS, their contract, or whatever you want to call it, expired, and they no longer have the rights to this franchise. So there will be no updates or additions to this game going forward, at least official ones from the company. So all of the stuff that is set up in these flashpoints that might have proved important later on That part of the reason I did them and explained them was figuring, oh, well, maybe later on this turns out to be something important and it comes back. No, there's going to be no addition to this, no nothing. All of that stuff is just plot threads left dangling in the wind. So, whatever.
Commander.
Another reason I decided after this one I'm done is because this one is my least favorite of the ones I'm running. It is by far the longest video I'm running, and I'm not seeing anything I want to do coming available on my map. Although I'll keep checking. If one comes up, I might add it. But so far, I'm seeing nothing that I want to do, so why keep recording them and putting them out? Time to go to another game. And every single battle in this campaign is on an urban map like this, which I think is part of the reason this video is so damn long.
Let's see how you like this.
Well, there's half the Steiner kill team down. I think the Liao team is already down. Yep. More Capellans coming in. I think this one's a full lance instead of a 2-lance kill team like the other one was.
On my way. Let's see how you like this. Target eliminated.
Nope, just a 2-lance or two-person team. Oh, I also got in the mail yesterday. I'll put a picture of it up on the channel page. It's not that like interesting, overwhelmingly interesting or cool or anything, but I got my hands on one of the limited edition challenge coins they released. I've got the one for Clan Goliath Scorpion. So I got that and a set of decals for doing my Goliath Scorpion Seeker Mad Cat, which is almost done. And when that's done, I'll put pictures of that up on the page too. I'm actually quite happy with how that's turning out, and it looks even better with having the faction decal insignia on the leg. First one of the mechs I've done that's, well, I should say it's the second I've done from a cannon unit, but it's the first one that I've had the decals for, and it makes it look more complete having that on there. I'm going to have to get some FedCom and Lyran-Guard decals for my Atlas. I've got to paint it up as one from the 3rd Lyran-Guard. The ever-sorted 3rd, my favorite Steiner unit.
I copy.
I will avoid the jokes that always come to mind when I see a Vulcan on the field. That Hatchet Man really doesn't do a lot, but I remembered it was an urban map, but couldn't remember for sure what we were up against, so I wanted to bring something that could have handled the heavy if we'd run into it. If I can get in close enough, that Hatchet and the Flamers as I have it set up is absolute havoc on heavy mechs. Especially as something that runs the line on overheating quite regularly. You can shut it down quite a lot.
Firing all weapons.
He didn't live long and prosper. There, I gave in to one of the jokes. All we have left is that flea. This shouldn't take long once we strip off his evasive.
Standing by.
Actually, can you just sway back him, Decker? I would appreciate it.
Roger.
Yes, thank you. That was what I pay you for. Well, that was deceptively easy. It gets worse from here.
Mission successful.
So we got 1 million out of it. No good salvage because we weren't up against anything good. Also, this one being as long as it is, I didn't give it a complete proper watch through before recording, so I'm not sure if there's any glitches going forward. If we run into any long pauses or anything like that, I apologize for it. I think there might be an actual pause in the middle of one of the battles. I tried to edit it out and it made it look choppy, so I left it in. I got a phone call, a video call in the middle of doing that took some time. Didn't take real long. It was basically telling somebody to screw off and leave me alone. But yeah, didn't want to do it, but had to. Basically, she's trying to talk you into betraying your contract you've got now and working for her, but not my type of not my type of work, mercenary work. I'll only stab the Capellans in the back. I won't stab somebody in the back for the Capellans. I mean, I have my limits. See, right here should give you the option to say, you know what, fuck you, bye. They're changing the requirements for what you were contracted to do and saying, well, you're gonna do this. I'm sorry, as a mercenary, I would say, you know what? No, I'm not putting my people at risk for this. It's not worth it. Bye. You're on your own. I would gladly forego the minimal rewards you get for completing this campaign just to be done with it and not have it keep popping up on my map because I'm ignoring it. That's another thing I don't like about this. There are other flashpoints you run when things change, when it gives you the option to cut and run. You should totally have the option to cut and run here. I'm sorry, but no. This nobody Lance of people you've never fucking heard of are starting to tell you how you're going to run things and what's going to happen. Nah, shove it up your ass. I'm gone. I was contracted by him, not you. I was here to do what he contracted me to do, not what you think needs to be done.
Command interface initiated.
Or go rogue and say screw these guys and just go in and take the fucking thing for yourself. There should be options, but there aren't. Another thing I don't like with how this is set up is, as I say, there's other times a similar situation pops up in these flashpoints, and you have the option to cut and run or change what you're going to do. Happens quite often in these flashpoints. But in this one, where it would make absolute frickin' sense to do it, no, it's not an option. Now we got another stupid convoy destruction. I forgot about this one. I was thinking they were all in the city. This also makes no sense. You were in the city rescuing the Lance that was supposedly at the facility, or trying to escape from the facility or whatever. I don't remember exactly what the setup for it was. And the subsequent ones after this, you're in the city going for the Raven in the compound where they were. So why the hell is it being moved from a compound in the middle of the city to another compound, theoretically in the middle of the same city, through an open desert? It doesn't make any sense.
Copy that.
Everything about this flashpoint is head scratchingly dumb. From the canonicity to the uselessness of the rewards to the background and setup of the mission and contract, it's just dumb. Like, there are some very, very good flashpoints in this. I very much enjoy the one where you get the Hatchet Man. This one, however, is tedious and moronic. And the really, really dumb limitation on what mechs you're allowed to bring is also very stupid. You have the same Leopard that's capable of carrying 4 assault mechs. Why suddenly is there a
Engaging
drop
jump
limit
jets.
of what, 200 tons? And nothing above 55 tons, I think, is the limit? It's enforced false difficulty. Like, at this stage in the campaign, only reason I have medium mechs in my stable is knowing there are stupid limitation missions like this coming up. I never use them except in these flashpoints where I'm forced to.
Target is damaged, Commander. Keep it up.
I mean, it's not like this is a game where you have, a whole company or even 2 lances of mechs you're able to drop, so it makes sense to have various weight classes and capabilities available. You drop 1 lance, and almost all of the missions you're getting at this point of your career
Good to go.
are 5 skull missions where you need at least heavy, if not assault mechs, to get through them. So why all of a sudden is it limiting you to this
Let's
drop
see how
weight
you
for
like
all of
this.
these? And even worse limitation in the 4th one, which you'll see when we get to
Torpedo
it.
down.
It's just the writing on this one. The writing and the setup and the execution and everything are just
They've got
terrible
a
on this
sensor
one.
lock on me.
Receiving you. Heading
I
in.
honestly considered not running this, but seeing as how they're, or not doing the video of this, but seeing as how I don't think there's going to be anything after, I wanted to have one that was officially the last one here. If I come across one worth doing, I'll release it as like a bonus content video or something, but nah, we're done with this game going forward.
I'm under heavy fire.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah. Locking in. All weapon systems.
That should have killed that striker.
Engaging jump jets.
Basically just playing scout with him. There's no point in trying to run up and chop a freaking light ass
Waiting
mech
for
like
orders.
that. Or vehicle.
On the move.
The other stuff I've got can take care of it as long as somebody's got eyes on it.
Vehicle trash.
Might seem absolutely counter to how a hatchet man is meant to be used, but I usually end up using it as a scout.
Locking in
A
all
scout that
systems.
can do some serious damage should it get in close enough to engage somebody. But that's basically how I use it. Well, in the tabletop, the game that I used to use the hatchet man in quite a bit, we were running. We ended up never finishing it because we all just ended up drifting away. Just a game thing that happens with a gaming group. Things fall apart. No animosity. We all just had things going on and ended up never getting back together to finish it. But anyway, we were running out of one of the campaign books. We were running the Vega invasion from the War of 39, and I was running uh, 3rd Laren Guard, uh, commanding the recon company
Armor
of
plate.
the mech battalion of the 3rd Lyran Guard, and it was commanded by a hatchet man. And that was when I found that actually, it makes a pretty good scout if you keep it mobile.
Engaging physical attack.
That's why I went with this one. Is the AC-10 on that? It's good if you can't close, but
Enemy
that's
unit
not what that
destroyed.
mech is designed for. It's not meant to hold off at medium range and pelt things with an AC-10. It's meant to get move around fast, get in close, and finish stuff off. So I went with this version of the Hatchet Man that doesn't have that and put the flamers on it. That way I'm not tempted to get picked apart because I'm trying to keep it distance and shoot at something rather than close with it. I find it's much easier to close with this version. You're not tempted to run it like a quote unquote normal battle mech. You're basically forced to jump around and utilize the hatchet on it.
Aye, aye.
Standing by.
This version can carry missiles and stuff. It can carry. Think one point when I was running it, instead of having the flamers, I had it with a couple of racks of Inferno SRMs. But I like the flamers better, even though they only get 4 shots. Plus, there's not the risk of detonating the ammo of them should you take the hit.
Systems holding.
Flamers don't do jack shit to vehicles, but a little bit of damage, maybe soften it up for somebody and take a shot at it. I could go up and step on another one, but the LRM carrier is the dangerous opponent here. Gotta take him out.
Yes, Commander. Move order received. Copy that. One for the scrap heap.
Yes, Commander.
I was hoping it wouldn't go for Behemoth. Didn't knock her out, but her armor was getting low enough. I was hoping if I put the 3 of them closer that it would go for them.
Commander.
Just finish him off.
On my way. Targeting route.
Alright, so as far as the operations go, we're halfway through this. In terms of time, we're only about a third of the way through this. Oh no, the one. So now not only are they making you do something you were not contracted to do, but the person that was in charge, that was your connection, that was the way they felt they had leverage on you, is now dead. So you now doubly have incentive to say fuck you and pull out and leave. But no, it doesn't give you the option. Like, I'm sorry, there is no incentive for you to just go along with this. You should have the option to say, you know what? No, this is dumb. We're not doing this. Bye. You're on your own. We're mercenaries. We are not a house unit. We're not even mercenaries under long-term contract to this house. This is a one-time deal. And they have completely changed the parameters of what we were contracted to do. Fuck you. We're not doing it. But no. I can't get over how much this guy looks like he should be part of House Targaryen. We've got you covered. My ass, we've got you covered. Leave your ass hanging out to get blown off. You mean nothing to me. I mean, we're allied to another state. We don't even need to do this. Why the fuck are we going along with it? I get to use my Starleague Griffin in this one. Briefly. So yeah, it's being stored in a facility in the south of the same city we started in. So what the hell was the point of that op out in the desert? It apparently had absolutely nothing to do with what we're doing. I think it was theoretically supposed to be a distraction for them or something, but why? Wouldn't you hit relatively close to where they're hitting to draw off opposition they're going to face, not the ass end of nowhere somewhere else on the planet? Like, I'm sorry, if special forces are raiding something in Baghdad, you don't hit something in fucking Kuwait as a distraction. It's dumb.
Roger.
You don't run a distraction op completely. I mean, if you're like, say, like what was the one in World War II where they tried to convince the Germans that they were about to invade like southern France or somewhere in the Mediterranean to keep them not looking at Normandy. You know, a long-term thing like that makes sense, but concurrently running ops that far apart as a quote-unquote distraction makes no sense.
Standing by.
Lock up the fire starter here.
Aye, aye. Move into position.
The flashpoints like this, they make me think of a lot of the TV shows nowadays that are like supposed to be funny or edgy or shocking, where it seems like all they do is the writers sit in a room and throw ideas at a wall, and whatever's shitty enough to stick gets put in. This is idiotic. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to keep harping on that point, but this makes no fucking sense. Every aspect of this makes no sense. This isn't even one random mission in the middle of the campaign like the one where we had to go get Lord Winebottle.
On the move.
This is an entire four-part operation that from beginning to end is window-lickingly fucking retarded.
Receiving you. I copy. Reporting. Minimal damage.
And I kind of hate that I'm going to be going out of this series on a very big bad note,
Reporting.
going out on such a terrible frickin' mission, but I didn't realize it was going to be my last one. I waited too long to run it. I was hoping to have a couple of good ones after this. I think all of the ones that I wanted. Hey, Callan Industries, look at that. I think all of the ones I wanted to do after this are ones that I'd forgotten about that I'd already run because I think they were the ones I mentioned earlier that I'd run several missions that the video files were corrupted and I couldn't do them for a video like this. I think that's what it was, is the ones I was thinking I still had to go. I had actually had run, but didn't do a video, so they were just out of mind because I'm not seeing them pop up anywhere on the map, and I've been looking, trust me. So I think this is it. I've had several people on the that I talk to that watch these videos that want me to do the add-ons and mods for this game to have more content and much more mechs and much wider ability to do things.
Yep.
But unfortunately, my computer cannot handle any, and I mean any, of the mods for this. It just either it won't open at all because it's just so much, or it'll do like you used to get sometimes in the CD-ROM games where it'll go through the whole menu, set it up, load it in, and as soon as you load into the game, it just crashes. It will not do it. So that not happening. I'm sorry to say. I would like to do them, but until I have a computer that can handle it, it's not happening. I'd really like to do the one they have a mod of this game, Rogue Tech, I believe it is, that opens up the entire inner sphere and clan space and everything else, and it's set in the 30s, 60s.
See how you like it.
So pretty much every mech or vehicle that exists in BattleTech has been added to that game, and you can play anywhere for any faction. It is I could play that daily for a year and put content out if I wanted to, but I just can't do it. Can't run it. I've watched other people play it. Man, I wish I could, but I can't play it on my computer.
Acknowledged. Target destroyed.
Ready for orders. On my way.
Yeah, they're both only in range of my PPC, so just pick one.
Locking on.
Commander, no shooting, just running.
At least it's just light turrets on this base. I had to look and see. It was like, are those exploding above me to show they're missing, or were those hitting the building? Because from the angle I was looking at, it looked like they were all hitting that building. But no, his evasive was just that high. That's how it's showing the missiles not hitting. That's why they're called missiles, not hittles.
To go. Moving out. Affirmative.
Except when I fire them. Man, I wish I had my archer on this mission.
Turret destroyed.
Or a catapult, or a Jaeger-mech, or a rifleman, or a marauder, or anything more than these stupid medium mechs.
Good to go.
Heck, I wish, even if it gave you like the 200-ton drop limit, but not the 55 upward limit, I'd just take like 2 assault mechs. It would work.
Turret destroyed.
2 assault mechs carry more firepower and are more durable than 4 medium mechs. I'm sorry, but they are. That's why they're useful.
Roger.
There are times when your solution to a cockroach problem is a sledgehammer. You get to that point. I don't care if I'm only killing one at a time. It's a really satisfying kill.
Order received.
Got it.
As I alluded to earlier, talking to a guy that shoots squirrels with a 44. There's no kill like overkill.
Looks like enemy reinforcements.
I once shot a chipmunk with a 45 ACP, and I shot a bird with a 12 gauge deer slug once. Wasn't intentional. I was out in the range and he happened to land right in front of me. I was like, oh, why not? Boom. Apparently he was suicidal. 20-ton mech and a 35-ton mech. The 20-tonner was a locust, I believe. Yep, locust or a flea it had to be. And a panther.
Ready for orders. Got it. Affirmative.
That's one nice thing with these urban things is when something lands on a building, you can shoot the building and knock it down, and it has the fall damage and all that. But didn't really seem to do a lot to this panther.
Waiting for orders.
Come on.
Waiting for orders. On the move. Full speed.
Engaging jump jets.
Waiting for orders. Affirmative. Target
Locust
neutral.
down. The Panther and looks like a Javelin to go. Yep, Javelin.
What's up, boss? Affirmative. Targeting for account.
That's the Javelin down. God, I love that Griffin.
Mech destroyed.
Wish I had that Griffin at the start of the campaign. Could have actually gotten some use out of it.
Damage minimal.
Come on now.
Engaging
Chop chop.
physical attack.
Bye bye.
Enemy mech destroyed.
Well, okay, now we've gotten through the 3 least idiotic missions of this campaign. Now we're getting into the bad one.
Mission successful.
And we have still almost half the video to go if it tells you how well that runs. So look at this. You take none of your mechs, you're stuck with the Raven, and their 3 shitty medium mechs. And none of them are really all that good. That should give you an idea how this is about to go. This is the first thing that I will say is dumb as fuck for how this is set up. Why would you take the prototype you're trying to rescue
Command interface
and
initiated.
3 warriors that are not yours with shitty mechs when you could either just take a lance of your own to do this or take a lance of yours in support of one of theirs driving the Raven and set it up as an escort mission. You could still get the quote unquote bonuses of the Raven without the limitations of 3 absolutely useless mechs and pilots in support of it. None of this makes a single fucking bit of sense. Like, what in the cinnamon toast fuck is the point of this? And as you will see, I'm sorry, HBS, I do not know what the hell you were going for. The ECM in this game is useless. Absolutely tits on a boar useless. You've got this sensor bubble where, as they say here, it makes it so you can't have an indirect weapons lock. and all this other stuff, and the Beagle Active Probe and what it can do. I once used the Beagle Active Probe. It didn't do shit other than spike up my heat. I never fucking used it again. And this ECM bubble, all anything has to do is hit a target with a sensor lock, and the ECM is negated, which everything does anyway. So what the fuck is the point? It is a uselessly armed, extremely fragile mech with absolutely pointless technology on it. It never should have been implemented into this game. Or it should have been like seriously play tested before they did. Because this is dumb. It makes no sense. It is useless. It is a waste of a mech and a waste of a campaign to get access to it.
Standing by.
If you are going through and doing the flashpoints, or maybe you played the HBS game in the past, didn't do the flashpoints, or thinking of going back, loading it up, and doing them, do not bother with this campaign. It is stupid, pointless, and useless. Nothing you get out of it does you any good going forward. None at all. Other than you run into this shit now after you've done this, just like with the Hatchet Man, the Raven and the ECM equipped Cataphract start popping up everywhere, even though they there's no way in hell they should. And you have to deal with this shit. So all it does is make it so you just have to sensor lock everything before you fire at it, which just adds an extra step. That's all it does. It doesn't do anything.
Receiving you.
What it should do, to put it in contrast in the tabletop, any enemy unit within that bubble should have its sensors disabled. Anything, the Beagle Active Probe should make it so anything you have on sensors is immediately identified. That is what a Beagle Active Probe is for. It is not something you ping, spike your heat up by like 50 points, because why? Why does running a computer spike your heat up? Just to get sensor locks on shit. Especially when, if that's supposed to be a bonus that you can automatically have a sensor lock on anything, and then they only give you one mech that has LRMs. Duh? The whole point of a sensor lock is so you can indirect fire it. Then you only give me one mech I can indirect fire with. Why? Why? So basically, the entirety of this mission, until I finally get into the base, is right here on this street corner, because now they know where I am, everything moves in on me, somebody has line of sight, and the sensor locks start coming in. And this is the least lethal way that I ran this mission of that. What was it, 4 I said? I think 4? Of the 4 times I ran this. I can't remember now off the top of my head, because I'm sitting here smoking. I can't remember if this was the 3rd or 4th now that I think about it, but
Let's see how you like this.
I tried going around the long way, going straight for the base, since that is your main and the garrison is your secondary. So I tried going for that and then getting out. As soon as I popped into view of the turrets, I started taking fire from everywhere and I was dead. I tried one where I went out and tried to string out the forces coming in and getting them where they're not in support, or not having the turrets in a fire support position. Oh, hey, look at that. That didn't work either, because none of these mechs are at all useful. And hey, look, somebody got line of sight and a sensor lock on me. The ECM has been negated. They can target me just like normal. Gee, that's wonderful. Thank you. So useful.
Enemy sensor lock detected.
ECM suppressed. Yeah, everything's locked. ECM's doing absolutely no fucking good. I'm just running a light mech with only two medium lasers and an SRM now, with no bonuses to it. This is useful. Thank you so much, HBS. I'm so glad you hype this thing up for 3 missions before you finally get to it, to then find out it is absolutely useless. It's the Coke 2 of the Battle Mech world. Ooh, let's give the people what they want and improve it and make it absolutely useless and everybody hates it. It's terrible.
Ready for orders.
It's Crystal Pepsi. It's sugar-free Mountain Dew.
On it.
Why? Why would you buy it and use it when literally anything else is more useful than that? It is a barely armored, barely armed 30-ton mech
I'm under heavy fire.
with, as you are seeing right now, completely useless technology on it. And, maybe if I'd fallen back and kept, moving and all that, but at this point, I had run this so many times, I just said, fuck it, let's see how this goes. And this happens to be the one that finally made it through, so this is the one I went with. Holy shit, they killed something. Only took them 2 turns with 4 mechs all firing at the same target to take it out.
Heat damage. Damn it.
And spoiler alert, once you take this lance out, a whole other lance comes in and you gotta keep going.
I can't take much more of this. They've got a sensor lock on me.
Yeah, because the computer knows how useless that ECM is and knows how to work around it. We're getting time for another cigar.
Warning. Detecting mech warrior injury. All weapons committed.
I'm here.
Not for long enough, if I remember right, you get killed. No, maybe it's not him, but I know at least one of these warriors dies in this one. And my Raven gets knocked out, I'm pretty sure. Again, spoiler alert. Because you couldn't see that coming.
Vehicle crashed. Standing by. Confirmed. Giving him everything I've got.
We'll also admit part of the reason I hate this part of the mission, at least the one that was recorded here, might be because of the call I got in the middle of it, but whatever. Let's just say it's a good thing I don't live record the audio for these.
Awaiting orders.
Nothing like having to tell someone you actually really like to fuck off and leave you alone and stop calling and texting.
Firing all weapons.
Oh my god, will you die?
Shutting down. Systems holding.
Maybe if any of these pilots could actually hit something, it wouldn't be so bad, too. The only one I've got that's a good shot is in the mech with the worst weapons, of course.
Losing armor.
Well, you weren't using it anyway. Yeah, if I remember right, because I haven't,
Taking minimal damage.
as you see in this campaign, I never ran into him because I didn't do this mission. But if I remember right, if you're playing against something that has the ECM,
Reporting heavy damage.
all you have to do is target lock the ECM equipped mech, and the ECM drops for everything that's contained within it.
Hit.
Literally one sensor lock, there goes the entire point of having the ECM mech.
I'm taking internal damage.
And you can see that bubble on the map. So even if the ECM, it should be, unless you have a direct line of sight on it, you can't even get a sensor lock on it. Is how it should
All
be.
weapons committed.
But on the map, you can see that bubble. So even if the thing wasn't showing up on sensors and you didn't know it was there and it was being sneaky like it's supposed to be, you just see the bubble moving around on the map, so you know it's there. ECM mechs in the tabletop and any other game is basically, until you have a line of sight on it, and beyond a certain range, even if you have a line of sight on it, you can't lock it. The sensors do not register that it's there. It's not a visible blue bubble walking around in a map that tells you where to shoot.
Here it comes.
This is another one, just like some of the
Weapon system down.
previous that I complained about, like the Dobrev. This is obviously somebody. Okay, there's two options here. Either the person that came up with and wrote this part of the campaign, just like with the Dobrev thing, either once did something vaguely associated with BattleTech, so has a loose understanding of it, but not a real understanding of what the shit is supposed to be, or even worse for me, somebody who actually knows what they're doing and tried to do it, and then somebody higher up in the company and the development team looked at it and said, no, we don't like that, this is what we're going to do instead, and completely made it useless and counter to what it should be.
Damage.
Either one of those options should not exist. You should not have somebody making a game and content in a universe that has been a game universe and setting that has been around for 3 fucking decades, almost 4 at this point, that knows nothing about it, or if you're making it as a fan for fans to play, you should not shit all over everything anybody with any familiarity with this setting would know. Anybody who knows BattleTech and MechWarrior and is familiar with these things is going to look at I can get the Raven. This mission's about the Raven. I know about that. And then you get into it and it's, what? No, this is not a Raven. This is not ECM. This is not a Beagle Active Probe. They're just random things that happen to have the name that they decided to shoehorn into this game. The same thing with that Dobrev shit. Why did you feel the need to try and tie in the Kerensky Exodus and the clans and all this shit? Which, if you had planned to do something with it, is a good teaser, but you didn't. And the way you did it shits giant steaming piles on the lore that you're basing it off of. It's the same thing. What the fuck is the point? It either confuses and doesn't actually do anything for new people coming in, because they then will go into the wider universe and not know anything of what the fuck's going on because they're going off what they learned here, which completely contradicts or just ignores the established shit. Or people that know the game come in and look at it and, like me, sit here and pick it apart because you did not even fucking try. You could have done so much better with this.
Warning. Armor low.
Like, I'm sorry, this Raven with even 2 heavy mechs, you would be done with this fucking mission by now. Instead, you're medium and light mechs and a couple of vehicles, and you're getting your ass handed to you because none of your pilots can hit shit and your Raven is useless. think this might be where the long pause is. So if you don't know the Raven in lore, if you're not familiar with the BattleTech lore, in this time period, just as it says here, they did get that right. The Capellan Confederation created the Raven, which is one of, along with the Hatchet Man, one of the first new mech designs to come out in centuries, really. At least that made it past prototype stage. Now, the whole. No, I don't think that was the long pause. Now, the whole thing with the Raven is, as created by the Capellans, at least, in the main game and as it's used in the tabletop, it is a fast, light, ECM equipped stealth scout.
Warning. Armor
It is not something that creates a bubble that makes its lance harder to target, although it, I think, can do something similar, give a bonus to the lance it's in. The idea of the Raven, as it is in the tabletop and as it is supposed to be in any of the games, is it is fast and stealth. It sneaks around the field and either scouts for heavier units or uses like a tag laser to call in artillery support on strategic targets. It is not part of a lance that goes in and goes into the middle of a freaking city against this kind of opposition and takes stuff out like a normal battle mech. That is not at all what it is designed and intended for. The Hatchet Man is built and intended for environments like this. To be ducking between buildings, jumping around from street to street, hitting shit and retreating and fading. That is not at all what the Raven is built to do. It's like building the F-117 stealth fighter and then putting one random one in a flight with three other like F-16s and expecting all of them to have what the F-117 had. They didn't use it like that because that's not what it was built for. In a real world comparison, the Raven is the F-117. It is the prototype, first field use of something with stealth and electronic countermeasures and all of this on the battlefield of this setting. That is not what the real world one was used for. It is not what this fictional equivalent of it in a different universe is meant for. So why, in the cinnamon toast, window licking, sister fucking fuck, did these idiots do this? You took what could have been a very useful, very interesting, I won't say game changing, but very different option in use for a battle mech, and just slapped this shit on it with the intention of it being used like anything else, and then basically at the last minute went, oh wait, that's not what this thing's for. Let's make it do this. It's
Commander? Moving to position. Target's taken a critical hit.
and then you've got it paired with a lance that is so useless. It's taking all of them more than one turn to take out one of the two lightest mechs in the game. Like, you should be able to take that thing out by looking at it sideways. And you give it a dirty look and wink, and that thing should have an arm fall off it. And instead, you've got such a useless lance up against it that it's actually standing up and fighting and taking shit out. That right there should tell you how fucking useless these guys are.
Internal structure damage.
I don't care. You're not one of my pilots. I don't give a shit.
I'm hit.
Good. I can't wait till you're dead.
Engaging physical attack.
Holy shit, it actually killed something.
Enemy mech.
Hallelujah. And the locust just comes right running. The next locust just comes running right in and does the exact same fucking thing.
Injury.
Oh, hey, look at that. I lost my ECM.
Ready for orders.
Now it's even more useless.
I copy. Enemy vehicle destroyed.
And believe it or not, I do end up winning this.
Orders.
I order you to drink the Kool-Aid so I don't have to deal with you again.
Affirmative. Putting my weight into it.
Not by much. All you did was break a flea's leg. Or locust, I'm sorry. Same freaking difference, basically. The two lightest mechs in the game.
Attempting physical attack.
Attempting being the key word because you didn't do shit. And as I have said, if you're watching this going, hey dumbass, why aren't you doing this, that, or the other thing, or you should have done A, B, or C, I guarantee you I've already tried it. It didn't go any better.
Warning. Enemy sensor lock.
Every time I have run this, I have tried a different strategy in this mission. It always goes as badly or worse than this one is. Oh, good, she's dead. Or at least knocked out, so I don't have to listen to her on comms. But that also takes out my only LRM boat. There we go. Finally, we're back. I edited that out because it was far longer than I remembered.
Engaging physical attack.
Basically, it was someone that I liked very much, but enough was enough, and I had to tell her to stop calling and texting me. It was, I'd rather do it that way than just block her and ghost her or something. I didn't remember it taking
Reporting.
that long. But
One less
apparently it
vehicle.
did. That was a very long pause.
Warning. Armor breached. Internal
So we
damage.
just got the one vehicle left, but or I should say the one back
On my way.
but don't go real well.
Firing a full salvo.
Finally,
One left target. I've been sensor locked. Reporting. Heavy damage.
now we just got the defense battery. Which you'd think would be pretty easy and straightforward, but from what I remember, not really.
Engaging target.
Yeah, that was useful.
Orders. On my way. Targeting for an alpha strike. Target eliminated. Receiving you. Coordinates received. Targeting for an alpha strike. They're They've got a sensor lock on me.
Oh, lost the Raven. Fight the Raven. Alright,
I'm here. Acknowledged. Firing all weapons.
At this point, it's just
Yes,
finishing
Commander.
everything off. But yeah, as I've said, that they just completely just ruined. There's not even a
Acknowledged.
point in the freaking Raven in this game. There really isn't. Don't waste the time and effort
Turret
with
destroyed.
this idiotic campaign to get access to it. It's not worth it. Unless you figure out a play style with it that I haven't tried yet, because as I said, what it I played the tabletop, and I'm so familiar with the other games. I play it the way it's supposed to be played,
Commander?
and it doesn't accomplish anything, because what it's supposed to do is not even anything that is applicable to this game.
Roger.
But whatever.
All weapons.
I'm reading heavy damage to an enemy structure. Bring it down.
Standing by. That turret is gone.
There's one turret left, and then the buildings.
I'm here.
Like, if it would let you bring your own mechs, just for contrast, if it would let you bring your
Engaging
own
with target.
mechs, even with as slow as it is, you
Structure
could use
down.
that Raven
It's history.
to help, say, Bull Shark
My
hide,
instincts can't take much more.
and, like, bring something like, say, a rifleman for support. And in the two shots you have of the Thumper artillery piece, you could get in close enough, take out this base in 3 turns, because it's a 1-turn cooldown to be able to fire it again, and then shag ass out of here. But instead, you've got this useless lance of useless pilots that just fumble, stumble, and window lick their way through this frickin' mission. I don't know what the hell the pause here is. I'm not editing this out.
Ready for orders. Move order received. Target acquired. Orders. Locking on target.
Holy cow, I managed to take something out in
Target
one shot.
destroyed. I'm generating a lot of heat.
I don't care.
Copy that.
Method inbound, Commander. I'll
There we
meet you
go.
at the LZ.
So my pilot would have been killed, but he's unkillable, so he's just going to be in the hospital for a long time.
Mission successful.
One of theirs was knocked out. Let's see in the post-mission if she was killed. It didn't show. But she was, I do remember, she was killed. It said killed in action. And now the Federated Suns tries to buy it from you rather than show up and fight for it. So you have to decide what you're going to do with it at the end of this. You have the options. And she's right, as she says, in the long run, its capabilities make no difference. It might make a difference in a couple of battles, and then they'll figure out how to deal with it or how to make something like it of their own, and the status quo will be reestablished. She's absolutely right. That's exactly what happens in game. By the 3050s, I think the Capellans, the Draconis Combine, and the FedCom. Oh, look! Wow, they must have hollow communication from the other side, because she died! Anyway, I believe everybody except the Free Worlds League is running ECM-equipped mechs by 3050. And the Free Worlds League not long after. It's nothing special. It very rapidly proliferates, and everybody has the capability. So you can do it to the Liaos, you can give it to the Merrics, you can keep it for yourself, or just to show you the option, you can also give it to Davion, Steiner, or Karita. I was tempted to click to see. I've never tried to offer it to the Pirates before. I have no idea. But no, I'm keeping it for myself just for the hell of it. Even though I'm not don't use it, I'll keep it. And they decide to go rogue and go mercenary, but thankfully they don't join you. So there you go. That's the end of that pointless, idiotic campaign. And the end of my playthrough of the Flashpoints. So if you made it all the way to the end of this, apologies for the ranting and the anger, but give a like, subscribe if you haven't, please. Helps me out greatly, and going forward, it'll help me out. See you on the next one. Later.
That mech you wanted is back online. That mech you asked for is cleared for fighting.